Hey everybody. Yeah, I got into it with RGR the other day, and it was a really bad situation. So today I'm going to be making a video kind of responding to it. Um, I'm going to kind of go through a bunch of different stuff about me because I feel like I've been misrepresented and lied about by Riley and made out to be some sort of bad faith actor to her audience. Um, that's what this video is going to be about. Before we get into it, I need to issue a brief disclaimer that no one from this video should consider themselves a part of my audience or interested in me if you seek to harass anybody afterwards. And I have a strict no misgendering policy on any of my platforms. I will ban you, delete comments, do whatever. It's not tolerated in my spaces. I don't have big spaces, but I will not allow that in them. That being said, this video is going to consist of roughly three parts. The first part will be somewhat of a prologue, giving a little bit of context to who I am, what I believe, and some other introductory related topics. The second part will be like my values and thoughts, like slightly prior to the conversation, like where my head was at about to go into the conversation. And then the final part will actually get into the meat of the conversation that I had with Riley and the specific concerns I had with Riley during the conversation. Um, Given the way that this is laid out, it's going to take a bit to actually get to the conversation, but I feel that this is necessary given the way that I've been misrepresented by Riley in the aftermath of the conversation. Um, yeah, I've been essentially presented as a crazy Trump supporting idiot who doesn't react to facts or anything like that and watches Fox News even though Riley doesn't even know me. I'm convinced at this point that I don't even know if Riley knows anything about me other than that I appeared on her Twitter feed. Um, let's jump into the first part here. So part one. In part one, we're going to do the following. Okay, we're going to walk through a couple of the takes that I've had on panels, just to show that when I'm interacting with other people within these spaces, I have not been treated in a similar way that Riley has treated me. Additionally, each of these clips will feature things that are like more centristy. I mean, whatever. I'm on the right. I'm not gonna hide my power level, whatever all that means, but these are sort of the types of views that are most interesting for me to express because I'm trying to find a way to bridge the gap of understanding with people and try to find some sort of middle ground on things. So the next couple clips are going to be the one clip is going to be me talking about why I believed that Donald Trump should have been impeached following the Capitol Hill riots. The clip after that, if I'm remembering correctly, the order of these things is going to be me talking about how even though I'm pro-life, I believe that we should have some sort of government-funded contraceptions. This is a specifically I'm interacting with a couple different people on this panel, so you'll be able to see the dynamics that actually occur when I interact with people, and they're very respectful. The last clip is going to be um, a an attempt for me to try to help everybody on the panel understand my friend Counterpoints because he got upset. And Demon Mama acknowledges that she appreciates that I'm trying to do that. Although Demon Mama goes on to um, think that there's more to be said there and there's more to criticize Connor for, she appreciated that I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. So this is just a couple clips. I could go around all day about like all the panels I've been on. I've been on a lot of panels, primarily on Prime Kai's channel. He's a good guy. So these are just going to be a couple clips of me talking about what I believe with other people, so you can see that this is not something that's happened before.
All right. Drew?
Yeah, so to answer the question, I don't think the efficacy of the first impeachment has anything to do with whether or not it's right to impeach Donald Trump now. I think it's clear that what happened at the Capitol is one of the worst moments in American history that I've ever been witness to. And even as somebody on the right, it's like, look, man, if you spread massive misinformation for fucking months and you incite a riot, you don't deserve to be able to run for office again. Full stop. I don't really care if people think that They want to vote for him in the future. He has proven that he's a danger to the country and has committed things that the president should not be involved in. And as far as I'm concerned, he shouldn't be able to run again. So fucking impeach him every day of the week.
Address it at the end of guns, address it at the root cause. I don't understand this argumentation.
I also just want to formally state as the righty. I don't think
I
there's
know
a
the round is over. I'm sorry.
I don't think that there's a contradiction between like the pro-life thing that Destiny mentioned here. I think that I agree with the mental health thing. It's unfortunate that mental health gets brought up so much only within the context insofar as we can use it as a cudgel against the other political side. I'm against that. I don't agree with it at all, especially like when the right likes to say like, oh well, the conversation around gun violence should really be about mental health. I don't think that it should be. I think that the conversation around gun violence is separate from mental health. I don't think people with mental health issues are generally speaking violent. So I agree with that sentiment, but I don't think that the like just because you're pro-life you have to be for gigantic social safety nets or anything like that. I think there's actually separate philosophical issues.
I would agree with you, Drew, but I mean, at the same time, I think if you actually wanted to do something about like reducing the number of abortions in this country, it does seem like from the last I checked at the Guttmacher Institute, like the majority, somewhere between 40 and 50, maybe 60% of abortions are the result of basically resource constraints. Like people just don't feel like they're ready because they don't have the resources to have a baby.
Sure.
And I mean, I agree that like it's that doesn't you can believe that you don't have a right to kill an unborn human and not feel obligated, not be morally obligated to also spend on the social welfare state. But I mean, if you're trying to reduce the numbers, that does seem like the best way
to be clear, my particular ideas on this would probably be on more like on the contraception side, so like providing contraception rather than simply like I'm not for abortion. Like if you want to actually talk about decreasing it, like I actually don't know what I think about social safety nets because I never get to get that far with lefties. I'm sort of not formed my thoughts on that, but I'm more for contraception than anything that was just said, just because I think it's from what I understand, it's super cheap and just good
And that's
all
like
around.
another really good, like somebody will talk about how like adamantly they oppose things like abortions and whatnot. It's like, okay, cool. What about like sex ed in high school and easier access to contraception? And then they'll be opposed to that too. And it's like, well, what the fuck do you want? Like, what is your, like,
Yeah, and there's reasons for that, and I could talk about it all day, but I do think that I think the contraception needs to be the conversation around that needs to be normalized on the right for sure.
Definitely. We have a minute left. A minute left for voting.
In terms of the stuff with Connor, I would say something that people like on the left like to say a lot. I think that just because someone's upset, it doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong. I think that it can be frustrating as someone who exists on the right to feel consistently mischaracterized or misunderstood. So maybe that's why he came into this conversation a little bit like on edge, ready to like get mischaracterized. Yeah. I might actually end up going through the VOD afterwards to see actually what specifically happened because I don't actually remember who did what to start things off. So
yeah, it was him.
Maybe that'll interesting.
It was him. Remember?
Video about it.
He's crying a little bit.
I also want to say at the end here, thanks everybody for talking. I really appreciate it. I had fun with y'all. And also, please support Prime. This isn't
I appreciate that Drew is doing the best to, give him the benefit of the doubt. But there's a couple of things that bother me.
The next part of the first part here is just going to be simply, I have to rebut this claim immediately that I don't care about facts. Okay, so basically all I'm going to do here is I'm going to show my Google Keep where I keep all my citations for school, or like when I look up a topic, I always try to see if there's data associated with it. And even though I haven't read every line of everything that I have in my citation doc, what I do is that if I engage with a topic, I look and see if there's data associated with it. I file it away, and if I ever come back to it, I actually have some literature to read about it. So I just have to push back on this idea that I don't care about facts. It just isn't true. So there's going to be a brief scroll through of my Google Keep, so you can see like specifically my my concern with literature and facts. What you'll notice when I scroll through this is that there's like a lot of different sections here. Each of these sections doesn't just have the citations that you can see on here. So when you actually click through something like, so if you talk about like, for example, moral foundations theory, I have like 15 or 16 citations or something like that within the moral foundations theory section. The different areas in here have different varying amounts of literature, but this is essentially the way I try to confirm whether or not my views correspond to reality. And through this process, I've actually changed some of my views. Specifically, one obvious one is just reading through some literature about disparate treatment from police on Black Americans and use of force against Black Americans or just minorities in general. My views have been shifted on this specifically because of the data that I was looking at. So yeah, so that being said, let's just move past this because this is sort of silly. I feel like I have to address this concern. So now we're going to get into a little bit of the part 2 stuff, which if you'll remember is my state of mind and my values prior to the conversation. Okay, so I'm going to state like sort of my values about conversation, and then some of my values about the positions and why I actually responded to Riley's tweets. I'll probably throw up Riley's tweets somewhere in here, but I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you kind of know what I'm responding to. I'll throw them up in a second. My values for conversations, number one, are let the other person talk. Don't interrupt the other person. It's rude and you can't communicate. This is one of the things that happened a lot in the conversation. Assume good intentions on the part of the other person, especially if they're giving you good reason to expect that by appealing to you and asking to be treated fairly while trying to treat you as fairly as possible. Extend that charity to the other side. Don't ad hom. I don't ad hom anybody that I'm around. I don't think it's a fair conversational tactic. It's rude to start name calling and accusing people of things, attacking their character without actually addressing the content of the argument. This also happened in the conversation. If you're going to criticize someone, you should be willing to engage with them, except for in extreme circumstances. By this I mean, if you're going to critique somebody, if you're going to make a video about somebody, if you're going to talk about somebody's character, you should be willing to respond to them, not ban them from all your platforms. Attempt to re-extend charity when it's not given back to you. And for me, this is a personal thing. People can disagree with this, but my focus, even when I'm being treated poorly, is to try to re-extend the olive branch. That's just my strategy. It's probably naive, but I like to treat people well. So that's what I try to do. And then do your best to try to fight, or to resist fighting back with negativity. I don't want to like go back and like start mudslinging just because the other person started doing it first. So yeah, those are some of my values going into the conversation. When specifically talking about my thoughts around the conversation, here is my concern and my central concern. I believe that our country is becoming further and further polarized. And I think part of the reason that we are becoming further and further polarized is because of we're constantly responding to positions that the vast majority of people on the other side don't actually hold. So if someone on the right says that basically like the left just wants to like come around and take your children and forcibly transition them or whatever, that's obviously ridiculous, and rather than reacting to the left's actual positions, now that subsection of the right that is reacting to that is reacting to an extreme rather than the much more reasonable positions on the left. And this like sort of further widens us and makes us more scared of the other side. Riley's tweet, I felt like, not the fear tweet, and I made this explicitly clear, the collection of Republican positions I viewed as strawmen. Because of that, I felt that it fell into this problem that contributes to polarization. I never got to make this point to Riley, by the way, because we never got to get that far in the conversation. But I did feel like it fell into that. So if you don't understand why I was specifically so focused on whether or not people believe those things, that's why. I was only focused on whether or not Republicans, like regular everyday people, believe in their hearts that the specific claims that were listed. And that's what my concern was with the tweet, and that's why I responded to it. Not because I was troll baiting or because I thought that the original tweet was wrong. I think most propaganda is based on fear, even on the right, right? I was just objecting to those being those positions being like mainstream Republican positions. That being said, I think that pretty much covers us for part 2, and then we can actually go into the specifics of the conversation. I'll be cutting in clips of the conversation to express this with my specific complaints about the conversation. And I would note that my concerns are process-oriented, not content-oriented. This dichotomy is essentially between what was being said versus how it was being said and the dynamics of the conversation. My focus is on the dynamics of the conversation. The actual content of the argument was not interesting in any way because the conversation dynamics were terrible. There was no actual conversation that occurred. If Riley wants to know my actual views, I tried to express them here and there. But first and foremost, if you cannot get a baseline level of respectability in the conversation, you cannot have the conversation. And so that is why I focused so much on trying to be able to actually talk rather than just talking about the points, because it's not worth it to try to have a conversation with someone who's constantly interrupting you and ad homing you and these types of things. So we're actually going to get to the specific examples of what happened in the conversation. The first thing I'm going to talk about is I'm going to address the starting claim. I'm going to demonstrate that I came in with the starting position that my concern was the list of positions, and then I actually restated this several times at the beginning. So I'm going to show the full context of Riley starting with bringing me on, and then me immediately, when I first started speaking, telling my position. I shortly thereafter explicitly say once again my position, and then later on Riley, I guess there was some sort of miscommunication or misunderstanding, believes that I'm gaslighting her because that wasn't actually my position in the at the beginning. So that's the first claim I need to address. Gaslighting I take pretty seriously, and it's obvious that I didn't do it. Or in any event, if Riley was confused about my position, it isn't for lack of me trying. I made it very explicit what my position was.
Here, you listed a series of straw men positions for the right as evidence for your first claim. Straw men positions. So, I think this conversation goes on. And yeah, I said, that's a really interesting way to classify these pretty widespread Republican views. Do you want to come on stream? He said yes. And look, he's in the waiting room. So hey, let's have a chat. Let's go ahead and bring someone in. Let's have like a good chat, fam. Let's just have a conversation. Hey, what's up, fam?
Hey, what's up?
Oh, hold on. That's
Can you hear me okay?
Output device. Can you hear me? No. Input device. Ah, there we go. Can you hear me?
You good?
All right, awesome. How are you?
I am doing just fine. This is sort of a spur of the moment thing, but that's okay.
It's all good. So I see your opinion on here that apparently these are straw men positions. And I have to say, like, I'm a little confused by that, considering that most of these are like direct quotes from major Republican politicians, or at least paraphrases. And so it's very hard for me to see how this is a straw man when it seems to be like taking a one-for-one paraphrase or quote from people who are large leaders in the Republican Party.
So, well, there's a couple of things. I mean, first of all, just to be perfectly clear, my objection is primarily to the positions you listed. I think
What
both
positions?
sides, the list of positions that you wrote out, as in the like quote unquote Republican positions. That's really what my objections to. I understand that like
there are positions that have been pushed by the Republican Party pretty widespread.
I mean, like, so specifically, like, one of these things that like seems like my concern is that these are being portrayed as like mainstream conservative or mainstream Republican opinions. I don't think it's a mainstream Republican opinion that all Muslims are terrorists.
That's wait, hold on, wait. I really hold on.
What you'll notice here is that with the full context, besides like reading through like making this clip like fucking 10 minutes long, it's extremely clear that at the beginning of the conversation, I am focusing on the positions that were listed as Republican positions, and Riley defends her point multiple times by doing her performative like straw man positions thing, saying like obviously these are actually Republican opinions. In her tweet, she actually says that they're mainstream Republican opinions. So it's not really controversial what we're supposed to be responding to. The specific claims that I was making were made extremely clear, and Riley was responding specifically to those things. I'm going to link later in the conversation where Riley accuses me of gaslighting for not being upfront with my position. so that you can understand why I'm confused, because I made it so clear from the very start what my position was.
Look, they are different. I mean, you're acknowledging
Oh
that they're
my
different. You're just
God.
saying they're functionally the same, correct?
Yes, they are. They are literally functionally the same. If you're
Yeah, they're
someone who,
functionally the
yes,
same.
they
They're
are
not the same
functionally,
thing.
yes, they are functionally the same. Yes.
Yeah. So my contention is that there's a large constituency of Republicans that do not believe this, but they held their nose and voted for Trump anyway. That's my contention.
Yeah, and I would say that those people are just as bad in doing that action as people who voted for him because they overtly believe those things. I think
Okay,
that both of those, I think that those are equivalent actions.
they might be equivalent actions if you're viewing them as a result of the consequences, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're
No,
talking
it's
about whether or
literally what
not
we're talking
Republicans
about.
actually believe
Literally,
this
all
particular
conservative
thing.
propaganda is based on inciting fear. Yes, if those people voted.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. No, that
Yeah,
no, that's
but we're
where.
not talking about that. We're talking about these specific claims. That's what I specifically said when I came in here, was these positions, not like whether or not
Wait,
fear is
hold
used
on,
as
hold
a
on, hold
political
on. All right,
tool.
now I'm incredibly confused. So do you actually not? So do you agree then with the idea that literally all conservative propaganda is based on inciting fear? So do you agree with that?
Yeah, I said that. I said that my contention, and I said this immediately when I came in, my contention was with the positions that you were putting forward as mainstream conservative positions, not the first thing.
Okay, I didn't. All right, if people in chat, you can give me a 1 if you think that, if you are all able to understand that in chat, if you all completely understood that to be the case when he came in, you can give me a 1 in chat. I'm super interested in hearing. If you did not understand that to be the case, give me a 2, because I'm super concerned. Like, I have to know if I'm being gaslit on this right now, because I feel like I am. I feel like he disagreed with all that.
Look, I'm
Okay,
fine
cool.
to pull the clip. I'm pretty sure I explicitly said that.
What you'll notice here is that there appears to be some confusion. I can't tell if this is because Riley got lost in the conversation or what specifically happened, but to me, when I make explicitly clear at the beginning of a conversation what I'm contending with, I say I'm concerned with this, and then later you accuse me of that not being my concern. I don't really know what to do with that. Insofar as like there was confusion surrounding it, it's clearly unintentional. I tried to be as explicit as I possibly could about what I was objecting to. My opinion is that if I am trying to be as charitable as possible, what I assume is that Riley is going to say, "Oh, I didn't explicitly say that I didn't agree with I agreed with the first claim, but I actually wasn't able to. I tried to make that point at the beginning. You can hear me try to make that point. I'll link the small clip. It's hard to tell that I'm about to make that point because Riley interrupts me. You can hear me say the f as in about to say fear, but I couldn't make the point because Riley immediately interrupted me as I was talking. So, and then we got sidetracked, and then and you'll see, and I'll also link the a few seconds prior to this where I said that I believe that propaganda is based on fear right before this, and that's really what I was referring to. I just said that propaganda is based on fear. Obviously, that it's not a contentious point. And I never contended with that. I never said that was wrong. Throughout the entire conversation. So yeah, here are those clips. So to be super specific with this first video here, what you're looking for and you're listening to is that, to be super clear, my concerns with these things. I understand that and I was about to say fear and go into the thing about like why I don't contend with that, and then Riley interrupts me and we get sidetracked and I forget to make the fucking point. So if Riley's upset that I didn't make it clear that I agree with the first part, I mean that's fine, but we were never even talking about this until the end. We were never talking about it throughout the entire conversation. It was never the focus of the conversation for a single moment. So whatever. If Riley wants to hang her hat on that as gaslighting, then I don't know what to tell. I tried really hard to be explicit. So you're listening for the I understand the that's what you're listening to.
I think both sides. The list of positions that you wrote out, as in the like quote unquote Republican positions. That's really what my objections to. I understand that like
there are positions that have been pushed by the Republican Party pretty widespread.
The next part of this is I'm going to be going back to the end of the conversation where I said I agreed with Riley that Republican propaganda is based on fear. And then a couple of seconds passed, and then Riley asked me again, and I said, "Yeah, I said that," as in I just said it. I just made it clear that I do agree with her that Republican propaganda is based on fear. And at the beginning of the conversation, I made it clear that my contention was with the specific claims, the positions that were being put forward as this mainstream Republican views. And I want to note that if Riley was confused, genuinely confused about the first claim, we would have been talking about the first claim for the entire conversation. We were never talking about that. We were talking just about the points that I had contention on. And then conveniently at the end of the conversation, all of a sudden, it's revealed that there's some super secret gaslighting tactics going on, even though that's not what's happening.
Consequences, but that's not what we're talking about here.
No,
we're talking
it's
about whether
literally
or
what
not
we're talking
Republicans
about.
actually believe
Literally,
this
all
particular
conservative
thing.
propaganda is based on inciting fear. Yes, if those people voted.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. No, that
Yeah,
no, that's
but we're
where-
not talking about that. We're talking about these specific claims. That's what I specifically said when I came in here. Was these positions, not like whether or not fear
Wait,
is
hold
used
on,
as
hold
a
on, hold
political
on. All right,
tool.
now I'm incredibly confused.
So to end the section on gaslighting accusations, I just want to say that I'm going to chalk this up to just a genuine miscommunication. Maybe I could have been more clear at the beginning of the conversation. It was difficult because I felt like I couldn't really get a word in, and we kept going off on what I view as tangents, and I got distracted. I tried to be really specific to start with to try to avoid this from happening. And I think the fact that I stated my position clearly twice at the beginning, and then throughout, demonstrates that I was attempting to be as clear as I possibly could. And insofar as I wasn't, it's unintentional. And it's clear that it was unintentional, given that I was making so much effort to try to be clear. In terms of like Riley, if you were genuinely confused about this, this was unintentional. And if you were confused about my position or feel like I was coming in with not showing my actual, I'm sorry for that. If this is a failure of communication on my part, I'll try to be even more clear than I tried to be in this conversation. But it isn't fair to say that just because there was confusion about what my position was, that I was trying to confuse you with my position. That's the point on gaslighting. So, and now we're going to move on to another section of a complaint of the conversation. The next part of this conversation that I am going to focus heavily on is my attempts to ask Riley to treat me charitably, and my attempts to ask Riley to stop interrupting me, only for Riley to continue to interrupt me and give excuses for why she feels she needs to interrupt me. This is something that I view as completely corrosive to conversation. You can't have a conversation if you won't let the other person talk. You just can't. You are not talking to the person across from you or virtually across from you if you will not let them finish any of their points. So with that being said, I'm going to show that I ask not to be interrupted. I'm going to show that Riley did interrupt me, and I'm going to show that Riley kept providing justifications for why she was interrupting me, admitting that she was interrupting me. So yeah, that's what this section is.
So like, how would you like to add? So like, let's just talk about like laws. We're a nation of laws, right? We have laws. Okay.
Okay.
How would
I don't
you
know where you're going with this, but okay.
Well, where? Okay, so I'm not interrupting you. I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't interrupt me as well.
Okay, I will say, like, just as far as like interrupting, I normally do not. If I feel like you're going down an irrelevant or an unrelated tangent, I may stop you just because, like, if you're going off on something that I genuinely believe is unrelated or I'm concerned is unrelated, I will stop you. Otherwise, I will not. So just a note on that. But go on.
Okay, yeah. All I would say about that is that I would hope that you would trust me as like a conversation partner, to just trust me that I'm trying to go somewhere. And if it turns out that I'm making a bunch of useless tangents, then call me out on it. Like, I would appreciate like the good faith extension here, because like
I'll be honest. Right now, you're kind of. I mean, like right now, you're sounding very different from how you were. Like right now, to me, you're starting in the hole because like I feel like this is not a controversial take, but I'll extend charitability.
Well,
so go on.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
It's very uncharitable to say that the left doesn't care about law by implication.
Oh, clearly. Well, to be perfectly clear, the left cares about laws. Okay. There's disagreement about laws on both sides. I'm not one saying, I never said the left doesn't care about laws. And maybe some people on the right say that the left doesn't care about laws. I'm not one of those people. I'm just saying that simply talking about law and order and making these appeals to people does not. I just do not see it as a racist dog whistle.
Then why don't they use another phrase? Why can't they pick something else aside from the thing that we know is explicitly a racist dog whistle historically?
Because
like they can pick anything else.
I don't think most people interpret this as a racist dog whistle. And maybe
you really
there's
don't think that most people
No,
I mean,
I don't.
I mean, like that's well. Hold on, because like you're misunderstanding the nature of like dog whistles, right? Just because most people don't interpret it to be a racist.
Look, I just think that I don't think it's that unreasonable for people to advocate for law and order. And I would also note that we
Wait.
got off on this. Wait.
Yeah.
I like you've talked a lot. Okay, I'm being very patient. But I have to
Yeah.
make some points. Okay,
Well,
like
I'm letting you make all the points. Like, it's very, like, you're basically saying, oh yeah, no, I just don't think that most people interpret it that way, when that's
yeah,
like,
that's what I'm
when we
saying.
have
Yeah.
more evidence to say that they do than otherwise, or that if they don't, that's just how it's intended to be, because that's just the nature of dog whistles.
Okay, so I'm gonna make my point now that I was just trying to make,
Okay,
is
go
that
ahead.
this originally was a tangent, because rather than talking about the fact that it is not a mainstream position that black people are quote unquote invading your suburbs, that's not a mainstream opinion on the
I mean,
right.
that's literally
Instead,
like, that's what
okay,
Trump
okay,
said.
Riley,
Yeah.
like,
What do you want me to
are-
say?
are-
He's the president of the United States. He's a Republican president. You want me to take his statements and not take that to
Do
be
you-
representative of
okay,
what most Republicans
Riley.
believe? You really want me to believe that? Like, I'm
Riley.
sorry. Don't hold on. Wait. Don't demean me. All right. You're on my stream. Do not demean me. All right.
I'm not demeaning you.
Riley.
Just like if
Riley.
no, I'm look, okay, I've appealed to you a couple times to just let me talk. You're just
I'm
talking
letting
over
you
me.
talk, but you're giving like very like
No,
it,
no,
I'm
you're not.
really, yes, I am. All right, fine. You want to talk about how Trump made comments about Mexican immigrants connecting them to crime, saying that they're bringing in rapists.
I'm not
and
talking about Trump, Riley. I'm not. I'm
What do
talking
you-
about Republicans.
he was the Republican president. He's still
Yes.
like most Republicans still like hold him up to be this godlike
Do you-
figure.
do you have-
have you
do you
seen
have
the
data
fucking statue
on this?
that people have made of him, like a solid gold Trump statue? You want to sit here like, do you honestly want to tell me legitimately that that he's not representative of like the vast majority or a substantive majority of the Republican Party's beliefs? Like, do you honestly want me to believe that? Because it's either people agree with him or they're fine enough with his opinions to not say anything about it. It is one of those two things.
Okay. So all right. Do you want to have a conversation, or do you want to just sort of use me as like a person to vent your frustrations at?
Hold on.
this
Are you
particular...
wait, hold on. I don't normally ask this. Are you actually trolling right now? Because I'm
No,
seeing people in my chat
I'm really
troll.
not.
Like, I feel like I'm saying a lot of things that are like very kind of like straight, like I'm not trying to say like talk about like very disputable things. Like, I feel like I'm talking about things that are like pretty widely known and accepted, and like it's really like I'm really trying hard to like treat you as a reasonable person, but like when you just say, oh yeah, no, Law and Order isn't a racist dog whistle, it's really hard for me to take that and to treat you as like someone who I can say is reasonable.
Okay, so just to be, I'm just gonna offer some stuff up just to try to make things like, try to get to some middle ground at this point, so we could like decide that I'm not a troll. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm not saying this matters. All right, but I go on these like panels on Twitch every now and then, and I've never had difficulties talking to people before. I don't know what's going on in this particular situation. Like,
well,
so like I
right
go
now,
on
the issue. Like, if you want me to tell you what the issue is, right now the issue is that I feel like I'm citing very matter-of-fact things, and you're just being like, no, I don't really care about that. Like, it's really weird when I feel like it's basically like if I said, yeah, 2 + 2 = 4, and you're just like, well, actually, like, it's very frustrating when we can't get past like the basic starting point, you know? And then you're like, oh, I mean, like 2 + 2 doesn't necessarily equal 5, but you know, Riley, why are you getting so upset that I disagree that 2 + 2 = 5? Like, it's a very hard conversation for me to treat you in like a charitable way when we can't even get past like the very basics.
Look, I mean, in that statement, you're sort of admitting that you're not treating me charitably. Like,
I mean,
like,
at this
you
point,
understand that, right?
at this point, I'm probably not, because
Yeah,
you've disagreed
well, I mean,
with like
like,
you've disagreed with some very basic things that I thought were kind of like gimmies. Like, I felt like Law and Order, it's pretty widely known that that's like a pretty explicitly racist and historically racist dog whistle, and like the idea that like you're just being like, oh, you know, that we don't know that, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the Republican Party is racist, even though they're the ones who constantly make that appeal. It's really weird when you say that, and then you turn around and it's like, Riley, why aren't you treating me in good faith? And it's like, because you're not agreeing to like something that's very basic and pretty widely agreed upon.
Okay. Here's the issue I'm having. Okay.
Okay.
This is your platform. I'm trying to be as respectful as I possibly can. Okay.
Okay.
But I feel like every time I try to make any particular point, you start talking over me because you like quote unquote don't want me to go down said whatever. And
if I know what you're talking about, then yeah, I'll respond.
Well,
but,
like
I haven't like prevented you from making your points.
I'm still trying to talk. This is what I'm talking about. Like I'm trying to speak Like, and
Okay,
I
then
don't want
speak.
to talk over you because it's your platform. I'm not going to do that, right? Like, this is your space. I'm not going to start talking
Wait,
over
hold
you.
on.
But like,
What? All right, then what ideas have I mischaracterized or have I caused you to not be able to convey?
yeah, well, like I feel like I've tried to recenter things back to the specific points you made in your tweet, right?
If
But
you
like
say
you
that
keep
like actually
okay,
Trump,
and I
like if you
right,
say that actually
you're
that like
doing it
you
again right now. Like I'm literally trying to talk. Like okay, like I just don't like. Do you want to talk to me, or you just want to like
yeah, I'm trying to
interrupt
talk to
me in
you.
every sentence that I speak?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow you. All right, so then if you want to be super particular about it, what you're doing right now is is essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to give like multiple points that you expect that I'm trying to respond to. But when you give me multiple points and then you try to move on from one of those multiple points and you don't give me the opportunity to respond to all of those points, then that's not an actual conversation. You're
Oh,
acting like it is. But if you want me to actually be, if you're going to give me multiple points, I'm going to respond to all of them. And so you gave me the point when we were talking about the tweets and whether or not it's a widespread Republican view that most Republicans are, I guess, like generally racist. And so I went to the example that Trump, postured himself, especially during the election, as the leader of the the party of law and order. And you said, well, actually, that's not a Republican dog whistle. And now that's where we're at, right? Or that's not a racist dog whistle. And now that's where we're at, right? Because if you want to move on from that, then I'm not going to budge on the idea that that's not a racist dog whistle, right? I'm not going to budge. And if you want to move on from that, then that's fine. But I am not budging on that because like the overwhelming evidence is like way against you on this one.
okay, that's fine. I just want to say like a single sentence. And to be clear, I am in no way, shape, or form gish galloping. I have barely said a single word before you've interrupted me.
Okay. Then go ahead and give your full thesis then, please.
I'm not going to give a thesis. I just want to make a single point without being interrupted. Okay, is that fair?
You've made multiple points, but okay. Like
But
again, you wanted me to ask you why I'm not treating you charitably because right now you're very much trying to posture yourself as if I'm doing these terrible things or as if I'm doing these uncharitable things.
I'm not trying to posture,
responded to
Riley.
all of your points, and you're upset that like I interrupt you when I understand what you're trying to say and I respond to you.
I'm not trying to posture. I'm trying to speak. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just is it? I just don't. Okay. I'm just gonna start talking. I would appreciate if you wouldn't interrupt me. Okay.
Okay. Unless I understand your point, or unless you start going into something that's irrelevant, like I said.
Okay. All right. So my main issue, like I said initially, was that I don't feel like these are mainstream like Republican opinions, as in on the ground Republicans, like regular people. Okay. And in response to me objecting to these things, which you said multiple times, is like you've gone away from like the invading our suburbs thing to a thing about law and order, which is not what I was talking about. And then the second time, when I started talking about like Mexican people or Muslims, you started talking about Trump, not like Republicans. And I understand that your point in response to that was he was the head of the Republican Party as the president, and that's correct. But that isn't evidence that that like on the ground Republicans actually have those views. You actually have to demonstrate with evidence that Republicans actually hold those views, especially when you're talking about like you're like one of your statements here is that because Republicans unironically think that all Muslims are terrorists.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Muslims, we literally impose a travel ban because Republicans unironically think they're all terrorists. That's
yeah.
a direct
Do you remember what
quote.
I said earlier in the conversation? Remember what else I said in the conversation about the nature of all Republicans? Do you remember what I said? Because now it sounds like you're not listening to me.
No, wait. If I forgot
I want you to tell me
something,
what,
please,
I responded
please
to this point.
Please,
so if you're actually listening to me, I want you to tell me what I said about this point in particular.
You said something specifically about, I believe you started talking about his travel ban. That's what you said, right?
No. What did I say about the nature of all Republicans? You're the one sitting here saying that I'm not listening to you and I'm not responding to your points. I responded to this point. Actually, I've responded to it multiple times. So I want you to tell me what I said.
Yeah, I clearly don't remember. Just remind me.
Okay, so what I've said multiple times now, and try to listen because I'm actually listening to what you're saying, and I'm really upset. Or actually, I don't want to say I'm upset because I'm very inclined to believe that you're trying to like get an emotional response out of me.
No, I'm not.
Like what I've said multiple times, and I want you to drill this in your head, is either that every Republican believes this, or they are complicit enough with it that they are fine letting it exist in their party without doing anything about it. It is one or the other. It cannot be anything else.
Oh yeah, you're right. You did say this. Okay, yeah. So the issue here's it is that the accepting it as a part of the party is a separate thing from them believing it, right? And my
No.
contention, yeah, they're two
No.
separate things. You
No,
just said
it's
they're two
either
different
you
things.
believe it or you're fine with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they are like okay letting it go, as in they voted for Trump and they're okay letting it pass, that's different than saying that they actually believe that all Muslims
No,
are
it's
terrorists.
literally not. All right, this is the reason why I definitely don't think that you're acting in good faith. If you are fine voting for a
I'm not
party
fine with it.
which
I'm
has
not
like an
fine with it.
overtly racist platform, then you are functionally just as bad as someone who overtly believes those views. As far as like a electoral system is concerned, if you vote for someone who overtly holds racist views, if you vote for someone who overtly holds racist views like Donald Trump, and you don't necessarily agree with those views, but you're like, I mean, like, I don't hate them, but I'm fine with them, then I would say that you're just as bad as anyone who overtly believes them functionally, because you're going to lead to the same result.
Okay, so I just want to say, look, they are different. I mean, you're acknowledging that they're different. You're just saying they're functionally the same, correct?
Yes, they are. They are literally functionally the same. If you're
Yeah,
someone
they're functionally the
yes,
same.
they are
They're not the same
functionally
thing.
yes, they are functionally the same. Yes.
Yeah. So my contention is that there's a large constituency of Republicans that do not believe this, but they held their nose and voted for Trump anyway. That's my contention.
Yeah, and I would say that those people are just as bad in doing that action as people who voted for him because they overtly believe those things. I think
Okay,
I think that those are equivalent actions.
They might be equivalent actions if you're viewing them as a result of the consequences, but that's not what we're talking about here.
No,
we're talking
it's
about whether or
literally what
not
we're talking
Republicans
about.
actually believe
Literally,
this
all
particular
conservative
thing.
propaganda is based on inciting fear. Yes, if those people voted.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. No, that
Yeah,
no, that's
but
where,
we're not talking about that. We're talking about these specific claims. That's what I specifically said when I came in here. Was these positions, not like whether or not fear is used as a political tool.
All right, now I'm incredibly confused. So do you actually not? So do you agree then with the idea that literally all conservative propaganda is based on inciting fear? So do you agree with that?
Yeah, I said that. I said that my contention, and I said this immediately when I came in, my contention was with the positions that you were putting forward as mainstream conservative positions, not the first thing.
Okay, I didn't. All right, if people in chat, you can give me a 1 if you think that, if you are all able to understand that in chat, if you all completely understood that to be the case when he came in, you can give me a 1 in chat. I'm super interested in hearing. If you did not understand that to be the case, give me a 2, because I'm super concerned. Like, I have to know if I'm being gaslit on this right now, because I feel like I am. I feel like he disagreed with all that.
Look, I'm
Okay,
fine
cool.
I'm fine to pull the clip. I'm pretty sure I explicitly said that.
Okay, well, chat seems to be very much in disagreement with you. So okay.
No, I mean, they're your chat. I mean, I can go up and try to find the clip for you. I'm
yes,
pretty sure
if you
I
want,
literally.
Yeah, if you want to, then please go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
You're going
sure.
to try and like
I'll
pull a
find the
very
clip right now.
semantic issue. Naive at best, crazy. Hold on, naive at best, crazy making troll at worst. Either way, RGR doesn't seem to be having a good time. No, I'm really not. So I mean, like, really. So like, I want to talk about some of these claims.
So I realized it was a lot. I wanted to demonstrate that there was a lot of times where I felt like I was being interrupted, and then consistently throughout the long clip there, Riley was justifying why she was interrupting me over and over again. And then I'm cutting it here because from this point in the conversation, my goal is to establish that I did make my position clear so we can get rid of the confusion. I try to clip. I try to find a way to clip my actual starting statement, but I go to a stream, I can't actually scroll back, and the only time I can create a clip is like within like the past 30 seconds. And so for the rest of the conversation, I'm trying to both respond to Riley and try to clip at the same time to demonstrate that I'm not acting in bad faith. And Riley does not give me the opportunity to actually demonstrate that. So Riley reads off a thing about how I'm a crazy making troll or something like that, and then the conversation proceeds to just completely disintegrate from this point. And then at the end of the conversation, Riley decides that rather than finishing the conversation in a respectful way, she is going to just kick me and ban me from everything. It's my point of view that this is to prevent me from responding to anything, and to prevent me from speaking about my side of this. And I'll provide a little bit of evidence for that in a minute. So we're going to continue this, and we're actually going to finish out the rest of the conversation here. It's about 4 minutes left from like the point where I get kicked off and banned, so that you can see the full context.
Yeah, black people, they're invading your suburbs. Yeah, I took that straight from President Trump's comments about how black people are invading people's suburbs. Again, President Trump, Republican president of the United States, and I have to ask, so you're genuinely making the claim that this isn't representative of what Republicans believe, either either overtly or by complicity. Like, you're actually unironically making that argument right now.
Okay, well, to be clear, by complicity is not the same thing as what we were talking.
They are functionally the same. Oh my God.
They're functionally.
I cannot believe this. Hold on. I have to ask you. Because
Sure.
this is all right. Hold on. If you let's like create a hypothetical political party where the person who I voted for, like the person who you're voting for was like a
One second,
a trans fascist, all right, and they believe that, like, oh yeah, all cis people need to die immediately. And I looked at that and I was like, well, I mean, like, I don't really care so much about that issue, but like, I like the other stuff that they're talking about, so I guess like I'm fine with it. Like, are you unironically going to say that that I'm not complicit in that action by voting for that person? Like, if you were to die,
you would be complicit if you vote for someone. You are complicit in whatever they do.
Okay, cool. So that's what we're talking about.
I was not contending with that. I was talking about what conservatives on the ground believe, Riley.
Yeah, and if you either overtly or complicitly, if you either agree with these things overtly or conversely, if you are complicit in them, if you acknowledge that those things exist but you don't do anything about them, then that's that's tantamountly the same.
Okay, I disagree, but I need to say something really quick. How can I go back in the stream and actually clip this for you? Because I actually don't functionally know how to do this, and I want to demonstrate that I actually did come in here in good faith. Because I actually
you actually came in here in good faith. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I'm looking at my chat. Like, all right, listen. Everyone seems to agree that you're like either trolling or very like seriously trying to gaslight. Like, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish here.
I'm literally trying to ask you for help so I can provide you with the evidence right now. That's what I'm doing.
I'm pretty sure you're able to go back. Oh, if you're not,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I make it so that only subscribers or followers, one of the two, are able to clip. Because often people come in here and they try to like pull some shit where they like, I don't know.
Yeah. I understand. They're trying to clip snipe you, and I get that.
Exactly.
I'm following you. My issue is that I'm trying to figure out how to clip this, but I can't actually go back into the stream to clip. I don't know.
Then I don't know what to do for you. Anyway, I don't know. This has been super fun. Sounds like there's. I don't know. I don't. Really
are you on YouTube as well?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube.
Okay,
right.
then I might actually be able to clip it from there. What's up?
Do you got any final memes?
I mean, sure. Yeah, I came in here to argue. I came in here to argue that Republicans didn't believe this, not whether or not they were complicit in supporting the positions. I mean, you're sort of moving the goalposts on this particular issue if you want.
Hold on. Actually, where did I say that all Republicans believe this?
Well, I didn't say that. I said Republicans unironically think they're all terrorists. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because hold on, wait. So actually, we weren't talking about the black comment in the first place. So actually, I don't know why you commented on that in the first place.
I disagree with that one as well. I don't think that Republicans believe that black people are invading the suburbs.
You don't think that Republicans think that black people are invading the suburbs? All right, cool. I've had enough of this. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I cannot believe that guy wasn't a fucking troll. I can't believe that guy wasn't a fucking troll. I'm sorry. Holy fuck. Holy shit. Holy shit, dude.
So as you can see, the conversation quickly declined as things went on. Additionally, you can see that Riley blocked me on Twitter, banned me from Discord, banned me from her Twitch chat later. I can show a clip of that if I really need to, but I think it's pretty obvious at the point that that's what's going on. Despite banning me and not allowing me access to any of her platforms to express my apologies for if she felt like I was trying to upset her, I was not trying to do that. Specifically, I sent a unban request to her Twitch channel, making it clear that I wanted to apologize if she felt like I was trying to demean her. I was not intentionally trying to do that, but so I was in a moment of frustration, and I was trying to appeal to Riley by saying Riley's name. Watching it back, I can see how she might have perceived it as me like talking down to her. It was not my intention. But regardless of if it was my intention, Riley's feelings are valid. Um, Whether or not I intended to do it doesn't mean that she didn't feel like I was trying to do it or that she felt talked down to. So for that, Riley, I am genuinely sorry. And that's what I reached out to the for the unban request, was with that apology. But I can't actually apologize or push back on any of the misinformation that she's putting out about me to her audience because I can't respond on any of her platforms. That being said, next we're going to talk about, first of all, I'm going to show evidence that she's still talking about me. She was talking about me yesterday, so this is the day after the conversation she was talking about me to her audience. Some of her audience members were actually pushing back on her, but she wasn't letting that happen. I've had a couple audience members of her message me and be like, yo, that was really fucked up. I don't know what happened. Like, I'm sorry. I've had this happen from a couple people, which is, I think, telling considering they have every possible bias in favor of Riley. And in this clip, you'll see people pushing back on Riley a little bit, and Riley saying, no, that guy's the worst possible faith person that he could have been. And then I've got some really nasty stuff that I think is getting into really gross stuff that Riley was talking about yesterday when editing the video for this particular conversation. So we're going to do the first clip and then the second clip.
I'm sorry. So don't go fucking defending that guy when he is like I am walking away from this conversation believing that he was like the worst possible fucking faith person. I'm sorry. I think he thought you said that. That's not my point. I don't really care if he went into the conversation and he tried to argue against something that I didn't say and then made his whole argument about that. Then I cannot treat that person as if they're operating in good faith. He's trying to argue against a straw man position of my beliefs. All right? And also, hold on, my feeling is that he disagrees with the point that complicity means, because that wasn't the thing that he disagreed with initially. He disagreed with that by the end once I brought up that point. But he didn't disagree with that initially. He tried to disagree with something that I didn't even believe to begin with. I think I can kind of meet him halfway and say that's possible for someone to feel that way, that Republican cares more about other issues. No, if you vote for Trump and you make a judgment call, all right, so if we talk about this issue too, if you vote for Trump and you make a judgment call that, I know that he's a massive fucking racist, but like, also, I kind of like these other things that you're doing. You are literally making a judgment call that, like, the fact that he might do terribly bigoted things to other people is worth less than your other considerations. You are weighing the other considerations of other people and how he will bigotedly treat other people less than whatever other considerations you have. All right? You are complicit in that. There's no arguing around that. The only other situation where that's not the case, and this is what we talked about earlier, the only other situation where that's not the case is if you're just so fucking stupid that you aren't aware that he's a massive racist. And I'm sorry, if you're in that case, you shouldn't be voting in politics to begin with. I'm sorry, you probably shouldn't, all right? If you don't know enough to be able to vote in your elections, you probably should try and go home and actually learn about the people that you're voting for.
So, one more thing. That last clip, I want to make it clear, after Riley said that, she clarified she was not talking about IQ requirements or anything like that for voting. She was simply saying that you should be informed before you vote. I just want to be clear and demonstrate that I'm not trying to clip snipe. I'm just trying to limit the length of this video because it's getting extremely long. So she did not, to be perfectly clear, she was not suggesting IQ requirements for voting or anything like that. It was a information-based thing. The next thing that we're going to talk about, this is really unfortunate. This is one of the things that really upset me. The next clip, you're going to see RGR editing our conversation and contemplating removing a piece of the end to not give me the civility politics look. So deceptively editing it to not let me have that is what she explicitly says. I believe in the clip she doesn't actually end up cutting it out because it's actually too close to something she said, and I don't think she actually can. And then later, there's another clip of her cutting out the part of her video where she fucking blocks me on Twitter to make herself look better. If I'm being as charitable as possible, maybe there's some world in which she only cut the bit out where she's blocking me on Twitter to just get to the next thing of the video. But I mean, for me, it's hard to believe that it wasn't just to make her look like less of an immature person in this particular situation. I'm not saying it's necessarily fair to say that Riley's immature if she blocks people on Twitter, but I think that it was an attempt to avoid that perception because for whatever reason. So yeah, here are those 2 clips of her editing the video. First, considering editing things, which explicitly stating her intention to not let me have the good look, and then actually cutting something else out.
Like here, I stopped one question short of like the final question. I stopped one short. I don't think it's bad, because I think that any reasonable person will be able to hear that and be like, oh wow, this guy's full of shit. But yeah, I don't know. At this point, I was just like done with the conversation. All right, cool. I've had enough of this. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Okay.
Have a good day. Goodbye.
Okay.
I'm gonna cut out that last bye, cause like he's trying to do the respectability part, and like, hey, I'm not gonna let it go in the final footage. Like, why not? I'm not gonna give him that. Well, I've had enough.
So to be perfectly clear, in order to demonstrate that I'm acting in good faith, I'm going to acknowledge that from what I understand, she doesn't actually end up cutting it out. Now, if I wanted to, I could just leave this here and try to be as dishonest as possible to make her look bad, but I am not going to be the one doing that, unlike Riley, who's clearly considering it here. And now we're going to move on to where she actually does cut something out, which is likely operating under the same intention. I'm not going to do this back. I'm not going to start mudslinging. We're not going to do this. I'm sick of this race to the bottom crap on Twitch politics. It's so frustrating. So yeah, anyway, here's Riley editing out the part where she bans me out of her video.
Well, it's funny when conservatives say I felt, well, facts don't care about your feelings. I know, right? No, we made that joke earlier. Fucking troll. I can't believe that guy. Shit. Holy shit, dude. Holy shit. Holy shit, dude. I can't deal with that. I honestly, shit. I can't deal with that. I honestly, I unironically cannot deal with people.
Look, all I'm saying is I find it curious that the only part she wants to edit out is her blocking me on Twitter. And to be clear, I should have said blocking me on Twitter, not banning me on Discord. All right, blocking on Twitter is what she edited me out of. Just to be honest, once again, because I'm naive as fuck. Instead of just attacking this person, I'm gonna do my best to be honest. Yeah. So that's the other editing part. In summation, I feel like I made a good faith effort by trying to explicitly make my position clear, and any confusion about my position came from a genuine misunderstanding rather than any sort of intentional gaslighting. Additionally, I feel like I was not allowed to talk because Riley consistently made assumptions about where I was going or something like that. These continued explanations of why she would interrupt me are in fact evidence that Riley was acknowledging that she was interrupting me. In addition, Riley openly admitted to treating me without charity multiple times because she assumed wrongly that I was acting in bad faith. After our brief conversation, Riley has taken the cowardly position of not allowing me to express any of my concerns on any of her platforms, all while portraying me as a Fox News loving, anti-fact Trump supporter, which are all lies. I should note here that I never have cast a ballot for Donald Trump because of his behavior. Like I previously showed, I called for his impeachment. Lastly, Riley's out loud expression of her intentions to try to make me look worse through her editing and her editing out of things like blocking me on Twitter are evidence that Riley, not me, is acting dishonestly. For my final statement, I just want to say that if I upset you, confused you, or made you feel talked down to, I am sorry. I am genuinely sorry. I am perfectly comfortable chalking all this up to a genuine misunderstanding. But that would require you to make some good faith efforts in return at this point. I don't hate you, Riley. In fact, I think your contributions to the trans community are amazing and evidence of your passion. I will still be referring to your research docs to try to formulate any of my positions on trans rights. Unfortunately, you have missed that I am one of the conservatives that you're able of convincing. You just have to give me the ideas. You have to treat me with respect. Lastly, Riley, I want to ask if you have some mechanism by which to determine if you have misjudged someone to be bad faith. If you don't, I think you're creating an unfalsifiable section of your intellectual strategy that will make you lose those you can convince, like myself. I respect your passion, your drive, and your dedication. I don't care about civility because optically it looks good. I care about trying to treat you honestly and fairly because you are a fellow human being that deserves that respect. So Riley, here's the olive branch. I genuinely hope that you decide to accept it. With that, thank you so much for all who've made it through this, and thank you so much for Riley if you actually consider accepting this olive branch. And once again, I'm sorry if I upset you. Thanks for watching.